Welcome to all the teachers, students, and parents who are listening to me in this video link program. When our children study, we all wish them to reach very high levels of achievement in their life. But when they plan, many times they don't get the right guidance or the right program to go forward in their life. Today I am asked to cover the area of civil services as a career in their life. I am very happy to come to this kind of a program with the Kerala University because 6 out of the 7 degrees I have taken are from Kerala University. So as a former student of the Kerala University, it's a great pleasure to give this talk to the present students of Kerala University. When you talk about civil services, it is around 40 services put together. The most prestigious civil service in the world is the UN civil service, UNO's civil service. It is the highest paid job an ordinary student can get by their merit alone from India. If you get into the UN civil service, the starting salary is somewhere around 5 lakh rupees per month. And by the time you retire, you get to a salary of nearly 1 crore per year. Now, our Trivandrum MP, Shashi Tharoor, is a former UN civil servant. Our Matthew Joseph sir, who lives in Trivandrum, is a former UN civil servant. So, getting ready for the UN civil service, competing for it, and becoming successful in the examination is something which any student can be proud of. So, till 2022, Indian students cannot compete in the examination. But by the time you complete your studies, you will be able to write the UN civil service examination. The second set of civil service examinations are the All India services. There is a combined civil service examination which covers around 27 services. We have the 3 All India services, IAS, Indian Administrative Service, Indian Police Service, and the Indian Foreign Service, which are considered to be very precious services. The most respectable and powerful jobs an honorary student can get with his or her sheer hard work and brilliance. Then there are 17 Class 1 services, which we usually call Central Services Group A. Custom Service, Central Excise Service, Indian Information Service. We have the Indian Audit and Account Service. Like that, the Indian Railway Service, Railway Traffic Service. Like that, there are 17 Central Services Group A services. Then we have 7 Central Services Group B services. Put together, there are 27 services which are done in a single examination. Then we have certain prestigious All India services. One is Indian Engineering Services. If you pass your B.Tech, you can appear for that examination. That examination, if you pass, you will get into the public sector engineering services or the Indian Military Engineering Service, Indian Railway Engineering Service. Like that, there are 8 services combined together in the Indian Engineering Services. We have Sridharan, our metro man, who cleared the Indian Engineering Services and became a great person by getting into the Indian Engineering Service. There are 48 different types of jobs you can get through the 8 Indian Engineering Services. Then we have Indian Medical Services. If you have an MBBS, you can appear for it. You can have the Indian Military Medical Service. Like that, there are different services coming under the Indian Medical Service. We have the Indian Economic Service. If you are an economic student, after getting your university degree, you can go to the Indian Economic Service. You reach the highest positions in the Nidhi Ayog, the former Planning Commission. Can get into the Reserve Bank. You can get into the Union Finance Ministry and do significant service to the India's economic growth. That is the Indian Economic Service. Now, if you are a statistics student, there is a service called Indian Statistical Service. Again, very prestigious service. You can do significant service to India's development, getting into the Indian Statistical Service. Then we have the Indian Forest Service. Preliminary examination is the same. You write the Indian Civil Service preliminary examination. If you qualify, you can write for the Indian Administrative Service as well as you can write for the Indian Forest Service. Protecting the 25% of India's surface area, the Indian forest, is their prestigious duty. Like that, we have 8 different services coming under the specialized services, professional services. Then we have the banking services. You have the direct Reserve Bank India officers competition, with which you can enter the Reserve Bank of India and rise up to the Deputy Governor. We have the different banking services. State Bank of India have a separate examination. Then we have the 14 nationalized banks conducting the banking services examination. Per year, around 10,000 officers are selected. Reserve Bank of India officers get the highest salary. SBI get the next highest salary, and the nationalized banks get the third salary scale. Not much difference, but there is slight difference between them. After the civil service examination, one of the highest salary giving job is the banking services examination. Then you have the class 1 services in the Indian Armed Forces. You can write the NDA examination, pass the National Defense Academy, and after training at Katakavasla, Pune, you can become a class 1 officer. In the army, you become a second lieutenant, lieutenant, major, captain, major, lieutenant colonel, colonel, brigadier, major general, lieutenant general, like that. You can reach up to the general. Salary scale is almost equivalent to the IAS officer salary scale. But you can be a starred officer in the service of this country. So these are some of the prestigious services we have. UN civil service, 27 another 4 different services. And apart from government, in the private, we have a separate service, that is Tata Administrative Service. You can get into the Tata companies and reach its top level and can contribute really high in your service in India. So these 40 services put together is a spectrum towards you will proceed when you take civil services as your ambition. Now, whenever you want to get into a civil service, you should have the syllabus and the mode of the examination very clear before you. UN civil service have only 2 papers. 2 papers you have to answer in 4.5 hours. You are competing worldwide. The best brains in the world will compete with you. You have to complete 21 years of your age and shall not complete 32 years to write for the UN civil services. Degree is the minimum qualification. When you write for all India services, the 27 services, you have to complete 21 years of service age and shall not complete 32 years. For OBC students, there is a 3-year exemption. And for SC/ST students, there are 5-year exception. For non-reserved communities, you can appear 6 times. When we were competing, only 2 chances were given. OBC students can write the examination 9 times. And the SC/ST students have no chance restriction. You can write any number of chances from 21 to 35. Now, in the scheme of examination, first there is a preliminary examination. This is a computer valuing OMR sheet examination, objective type examination. In the general studies paper, it is 200 marks per paper. In the preliminary, first paper is general studies. Your general knowledge is checked. There will be 100 questions. Each question will fetch you 2 marks. So 100 marks into 2, that is 200 marks. Then there is a second paper, which is Aptitude Test. Your aptitude towards the civil services is verified. There will be 80 questions, each question carrying 2.5 marks to total 200 marks. But the marks you score in the aptitude test will not be taken into consideration for the paper 1, your general knowledge paper. So essentially, you will be selected or not depends upon your general knowledge. For preliminary examination, around 15 lakh people apply. Around 12 lakh people enter the exam hall and write the exam. But only 15,000 people are selected to write the main examination. In the main examination, the first 2 papers are language papers. One is compulsory English. Second one is one of the 22 languages approved in the 8th schedule of the Indian Constitution. There are 22 languages like that, including Malayalam. The marks scored by you in the English and Malayalam papers will not be taken for your merit. But unless you pass those 2 papers, your other marks in the optional papers will not be valued. So, situation. But you need for around 30% marks in language papers. Because an all India service officer should have good language, or else properly compete. You cannot perform in the field. So see to it that other than English language, you know one language. Students who study in the class may not have proficiency. For those students who are children of all India service officers, like the officers in the railways and other all India transferable jobs, may not get proficiency in Malayalam. Such officers, such candidates may take Hindi as their second language. But you have to see to it that you clear the English paper as well as the regional language paper. Then you have 7 papers for which the marks you score will decide whether you pass the examination or not. Earlier there was 2 compulsory papers. Now there are 4 compulsory papers, common to all. Paper 1 is primarily about history, freedom struggle, etc. Paper 2 is primarily about politics and constitution, etc. Paper 3 is predominantly economics, current affairs, etc. So each of these papers fetch you 250 marks. So 750 marks. Then a 4th paper is on ethics and morality. That also is around 250 marks. Put together, these 4 compulsory papers carry 1000 marks. Then you have to select one optional paper, any one subject on which you are supposed to be thorough. When we wrote the examination, there was 2 optional papers. On 2 subjects, you have to be thorough. Then only you could clear the exam. Now they cut 1 optional subject and added 2 compulsory papers. But whatever is the subject you select, there are 2 papers, paper 1 and paper 2. And you have to get 500 marks, 250 plus 250. Maximum marks you score in those 2 papers may go a large way to make you clear the examination. Then you have 1 essay paper, the 7th paper. In our time, 1 essay has to be written in 3 hours. Now, you need not bother about that. You can write 2 essays. In part 1, there will be 4 suggested titles. You write an essay on 1 title. In paper 2, again, there are 4 essay subjects given. You write about 1 subject. So, that is 1 essay in around 1.5 hours. That essay have to be roughly around 2,000 words. That means in translation, it is 8 pages. 1 essay in 8 pages, another essay in 8 pages. 250 marks. These 7 papers are essay type papers. And the marks you obtain in the 7 papers will decide whether you will be called for interview or not. So in that 7 papers, if you can score around 55% marks, probably you will be called. Out of 15,000 students, only 3,000 students will be called for interview. Maximum 3,000 students will be called for interview. In civil service examination, there is no word called interview. It's a personality test. They will assess your personality. That interview is for 275 marks. When we went for the examination, it was 300 marks. Now it is reduced to 275. So put together, you write the examination for 400 marks prelims, 600 marks language papers, 1,750 marks for ranking papers, 2,750, and 275 marks for interview. That is 3,025 marks is the marks for which you compete. But your rank will depend upon 1,750 for the main examination papers and 275 for the interview put together, 2,075 marks, 2,025 marks. So this is the pattern of the examination. Now, when you come to the general career papers, like the Indian Economic Service or Indian Engineering Service, etc., there are only 6 papers. 1 paper is on general English, 1 paper is on general studies or general knowledge. Then 4 papers on your professional subject. Indian Economic Service, 4 papers on economics. Indian Statistical Service, 4 papers on statistics. You go for Indian Engineering Services, 1 language paper, 1 general studies paper, and 4 papers on your general engineering or Indian Medical Service medicine. So in this professional all India services, you are competing for a total of 1,000 marks only. 1,000 marks. Because the 4 optional subjects give you around 600 marks, and the other 2 papers give you 400 marks. So together, 1,000 marks each. So this is the pattern of the examination. Now, what is the difficulty in getting cleared in the civil service examination? The essential difference between civil service examinations and the other examinations should be clearly studied. First one is that the usual examinations are only of one mode. Whether it is objective type only, you write the Kerala Public Service Examination, all the papers are objective type. You go there, darken the column in the OMR sheet and come out. Computer values you. You may be the best orator in this country, no matter. You may be the best Carnatic musician in the country, no use. You may be a double PhD holder, no use. Computer will evaluate you according to the darkening of the columns. Second type is essay type, where your rare knowledge comes into play. Then a third type of examination is called interview type. It is a face-to-face question answer session. Civil service examination combines all the three. Preliminary examination is objective type. Main examination is essay type. And interview is face-to-face. So the first difference of civil service examinations from other examination is, it is one examination in which all the three modes of examinations are used to assess the candidate. The second difference is the number of marks for which you compete. You write the SLS examination, you are scored in 600 marks. You go for +2, you are evaluated in 1,000 marks. If you go for a degree, you are evaluated in 1,600 marks. You go for a postgraduate degree, you are evaluated for 1,800 marks. Till you write your civil service examination, there is no examination in which you are tested for more than 1,800 marks. Whereas in the civil service examination, you are tested for 3,025 marks, which is the large marks for which you compete. The third difference is the filtration. Till standard 9, everybody is passed. In the 10th standard, 99% of the students pass. In +2, 96% pass. In degree classes, 94% pass. When you come to the civil service examination, 15 lakh people apply, of which only 15,000 is cleared. That is 99% of the candidates are thrown out. Only 1% is cleared for the examination. In the main examination, 15,000 people apply or selected. Only 3,000 are called for interview. That is 80% of students are out. Only 20% of the students are cleared. Then out of 3,000 students who come for interview, only 1,000 people are selected for some services. That is 67% is thrown out and only 33% clears. And for IAS, IPS and IFS, only 200 people are cleared. That is out of the 3,000 students who are called for the interview, the selection is 7.5%. Only 7.5% of the people who are called for interview ultimately get into IAS, IPS, or IFS. So this kind of a filtration you have never experienced in your life. So you have to compete in that selection process. The fourth difference is the marks giving mechanism. Till SSLC, you are asked a question, and if you give the correct answer, you are given marks. Who was the first Prime Minister of India? Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, full marks. But when you come to the plus two, you are asked reference to the context. So you have to explain who said it to whom at which place. If you answer it correctly, you get marks. You go to the degree in the university, they ask you to annotate. Not only who said it to whom, where, why he said it so, what was the technique he used, what was the impact on the crowd there, what are the special effects he did there, what was the ultimate impact on the history of that. Mark Antony make a speech and say, the stab which was given by Brutus to Julius Caesar is the most unkindest cut of all. If you write in the examination, you will be given 0. You have used double superlative, most unkindest. But when Shakespeare says it, it is credit. And you explain why he used that double superlative. By annotation, you get marks. When you go to post-graduation, you are asked to analyze that matter. When John Donne says, death be not proud, death thou shalt die. In ordinary language, use of foolishness. How can you say death thou shalt die? You say death be not proud, who have escaped death. But in an MA literature paper, when you explain why John Donne says death be not proud and death thou shalt die, the way you explain it with theology, with philosophy, then you get very high marks. But when you come to the civil service examination, the basic law given to people like me who value civil service answer sheets is that no marks will be awarded for superficial knowledge. That's the problem in Iraq. You say Saddam Hussein ruled there for 30 years. George Bush sent the American forces by 2004. Iraq was captured, Baath Party was destroyed. Saddam Hussein was captured, and after a trial, he was hanged. Writing this much, you will get 0, because this much is known to everybody in the world. Any common man is supposed to understand, to know this much. So no superficial marks will be awarded for superficial knowledge. If you can write more on this subject, if you have more knowledge on this subject, then only you will get marks in the civil service examination. This is a funny part of it. So apart from your usual knowledge, you have to get extra knowledge on the matter. Then only you will get marks. So this extra knowledge you have to pick up with the analytical power. Then fifth one, when you write the civil service examination, the duration of the examination. You appear for the examination, you apply by around November of a particular year. You write the preliminary examination by May of the next year. You write the main examination by September or October of the next year. And then you are called for interview and you go for interview by March. And then the results are out by the next June. So the gestation period of the examination is 18 months, 1.5 years. Large number of the people have no patience for such a duration. Because while you are studying for SLC, you start preparing by around January and write the exam by March. 90 days, the effort is over. In +2, we roughly study for 4 months. In degree, we study for about 6 months. But 18 years of gestation period. 15 lakh people apply, but only 12 lakh people enter the exam hall. 3 lakh people lose heart after 6 months of preparation. Even people selected for the main examination out of 15,000, hardly around 14,000 people really enter the examination hall and complete writing. Many people get out of the examination after the first or second paper. They say no use. They go away. So this gestation period is very, very important. And the amount of hardship you have to suffer. So many years of hard work. That has to put through. That is something wonderful. So these kind of things make the civil service examination something far different from any examination you have written till that time. Now, the examination gives you some special stress on some areas. First one is selecting the second language. If you are proficient in your mother tongue, okay. Or else you have to master another second language. And even in English, your colloquial English will not help. Grammatical English is required. The second most important decision is selecting an optional subject. There are certain optional subjects which are popular, like public examination. Out of 15,000 students who write the examination, about 6,000 take public administration. Around 4,000 students take sociology. Around 2,000 students take history. Like that, there are certain subjects which are popular. There are certain subjects which are easy to pick up. For anthropology, you can pick up the subject in 90 days time. Sociology, without any previous preparation, knowledge about subject, you can pick up the subject in 120 days. So this kind of, there are easy subjects. But if you take history, vast reading is required. Around 10,000 pages minimum you have to read to get ready for the civil service examination. Certain subjects are highly fluctuating in marks. Maths or physics. If you answer all questions correctly, you can get 250 out of 250. But if all the 10 questions go wrong, your score will be 0 out of 250. That kind of fluctuation. Whereas a subject like history, however well you write, you cannot cross around 70% marks. But however bad you write, still you will get around 40% marks. So that kind of a difference is there. Then whether you get real books or enough professors to guide you, that kind of a thing is there. So for ordinary students living in a rural area, you had a real disadvantage. But many students whose parents are rich, they used to go to Delhi and study there in some prestigious institute. But cost is prohibitive. You have to pay 1 lakh to 1,25,000 for a 6 months coaching. Then you have to stay there in a hostel, food expenses are there. Then every day you have to travel to the institute to listen to the lectures, then travel back. For girl students, safety problem is there. This kind of a problem. To solve that problem in Trivandrum, we made the Kerala government start a Kerala State Civil Service Academy. We reduced the fees structure to 50,000 rupees. But still other expenses will be there. So with around 75,000 rupees, you could get a coaching in Kerala. Government examination is free. You get free coaching. An interview, government will give you free air ticket to go to Delhi, attend the interview and then come back. Free ticket. Not only for you, but your parents also. And free accommodation in the Kerala house. That kind of a achievement is there in the Kerala Government Civil Service Academy. I was one of the mentors for that program for about 10 years. Then a lot of private institutes have started their coaching in Kerala. So a lot of coaching institutes are there. And I am one person who could not go for any coaching. I studied at home. I bought the syllabus and studied the program at home, and without any coaching or without any professor guiding me, I wrote the examination cleared. I'm one of the rarest persons who passed the exam without any coaching. But this is not possible for everyone. So now I am part of one institute, that is Vedic Academy, IAS Academy. Babu Sebastian sir, who retired as the Vice Chancellor of Mahatma Gandhi University, along with myself, J. Alexander, the former Chief Secretary of Karnataka, and Shankar Bidari, the former DGP of Karnataka, etc., joined together. We brought experts and got a program very cheap, 30,000 rupees only, in the Vedic IAS Academy. Then you need not go to the institute. Every class will come to your house. You can listen to the video program at home. So for girl students, your safety is protected because you need not go anywhere, but you can study at home. I myself have taken about 200 classes for the Vedic Civil Service Academy, and going on recording so many more lectures for the scheme. I am personally the dean for that program. That's what I mentioned it. So this kind of coaching camps are there. So go to one of the coaching camps, some type of coaching for preparing for the civil service examination. So selecting the optional subject is very important. Your flair of writing the essay paper is very important. And your type of general knowledge you acquire. Critical acquiring of general knowledge is required. Because an ordinary parlance, you will not be able to answer the thing. Because this year, because there are a lot of elections coming, perhaps there can be a question on elections in this year's 2021 civil services main examination. Suppose they ask you, what about election manifestos? If you start writing, if you write that friend offered this, that this paper, this friend offered this, and you make a comparative study of the offers given, you will get 0. Whereas, as a civil service student, you should be able to assess what they are offering. 2,500 rupees pension will be given to 30 lakh people. As a civil service student, you have to immediately calculate. If 30 lakh people are given 2,500 rupees per month, the total cost involved will be 30 lakh into 2,500 into 12. Immediately you will understand the total cost. Not even Kerala government, not even a big state will be able to do some such things. Another friend offered 72,000 rupees will be given to the families in Kerala. Now there are 62 lakh families in Kerala, of which around 42 lakh families are eligible for that offer. So 40 lakh into 72,000 rupees. What will be the cost? You will immediately understand, not only Kerala government, not even the Union government of India will be able to pay it. When a government is offering this kind of a thing. Another manifesto says, maximum students will be taken from the PSC list available. Now, in the Kerala budget, 94% of the total income of this government is spent only for government officers, their salaries and their allowances. The total Kerala government servants is only 1.5%. Now, 1.5% of the people are taking away 94% of the Kerala state income. If another 20,000 posts are created, then the entire income of the Kerala government will be available only for giving salary and pension of the government servants. For 98.5% of the Kerala's population, there is no money available in the budget. Now, as a civil servant, when you write this answer, you have to be very, very mathematically correct. You have to project the figures. And you should not take sides. You should not take sides with any party or any front. You have to be impartial. Then only you can be an All India Service officer. After entering into All India Service, I have never voted. I have no voter identity card. Because the moment you vote, you are siding with one candidate or one party. And All India Service officers should not have such a lenient view towards any party. But you have to be impartial. The person who values your answer sheet will check up whether you have a mathematical mind, whether you can project something correctly, or else you will write in a file some wild proposal and the minister signs it. Then after some day you find the government itself cannot fulfill what you have written in the file. So such a fool cannot be an IAS officer. So the examiners like me, when we value the answers, we will check out whether you have mathematical mind to calculate a proposal, whether you can project possibility or probability, and plainly tell the minister, sir, according to me, this is not possible. That has to be projected. I simply took the example of the manifestos of the different parties just because you are hearing this information through the television last week. Any subject, you have to be thorough on the subject. You have to be impartial on the subject. You should be mathematically able to calculate the proposal. You should be able to work out possibility or probability. And then clearly state, sir, this is the correct thing to be done at this situation. If you cannot write the answer like that, then you cannot clear the civil service examination. You have to be impartial in writing your answer. So this way of projecting a thing really fetches you marks. Why the Russian communist empire fell? If you start writing, there was a Cold War going on between America and Russia, and America saw to it that the Soviet Empire crumbled. And after 70 years of its existence, by 1991, Soviet Empire fell. You will get 0. Because Soviet Empire fell not because of the Cold War, not because of America. There are 8 reasons for that. How the Communist Party slowly took control of the power. There was no government, there was only a party. When that party had an internal division, the government fell. But the main reason was economic failure. If a government cannot properly manage its economy, that government or system will completely fail. Now, Communist Party went on its welfare measures, but they didn't create income. They should have increased the petroleum production and saw to it that income and expenditure balance. They couldn't do that. And they went into the Afghan war and started spending money beyond the Soviet Empire's capacity. And when America went for the Star Wars, Russia also attempted it. Russian economy was only 25% of America's economy. Russian economy was growing only at 1%. American economy, 4 times its size, was growing at 6% during Reagan's time. And when trying to fight the Star Wars, Russian economy fell. And when the economy fell, the empire also fell. Natural corollary. So if a civil service student answers, in a political speech you can do anything, you can say anything. But in the civil service answer sheet, you have to be thorough on the subject, impartial on the subject, and calculate the problem very correctly and project it in your answer sheet. This is the capacity you have to increase. For which you have to read regularly your newspapers, read the editorial page correctly, see in the TV, BBC World Service, CNN, World is One, and Al Jazeera correctly to find out what is the world situation, how it affects each nation. You cannot be a Kuba Mandugam, living in Kerala atmosphere alone to write the civil service exam. That broad view will really help you to write the civil service examination. So you can study for your degree papers, the Kerala University degree papers in a particular way. But parallel to it that, you have to spend around 2 to 3 hours per day for the civil service examination. Then you will have to apply and appear in the civil service examination with a full preparation. So this is what you are supposed to do. Now there are a lot of books, a lot of programs to pass through the syllabus, compulsory syllabus of the civil service examination, so that you cover the complete syllabus and go to the examination with full confidence. You refer through old question papers. You can get solved answer sheets for all the question papers in the civil service examination. Many such cross-cuts. You can use all those, get prepared, and write the civil service examination and come out successfully. The organizers of the program told me the talk is for 1 hour, so I am concluding now. But if you have any questions, you can ask. A few questions I will answer, because once questions start, it becomes endless in some programs. So around 5 to 6 questions I will answer. So balance we can clarify in some other program. Thank you. Good evening.
So my name is Sharon Jose. I'm pursuing MPhil in Economics at Karivattam campus. So my question is, you have pursued multiple research works as well as civil services. Aren't these areas totally different from each other? How did you maintain your interest for both these areas simultaneously?
No, that is a personal question. Anyhow, I thought you will ask me questions on the civil services. Now,
Sir,
for me, I used to study around 18 hours a day and sleep for only around 4 hours maximum. And 2 hours I use for recreations, etc. Now, such a reading is unwise. For me, both my eyelids just fell off. I cannot hold my eyelids up. In my spectacles, I have two iron things fitted with which I lift my eyelids. Now, when you lift your eyelids, it appears you are staring at some persons. So I always avoid looking at women because if they mistake my look, there is big problem. And so it damaged my eyelids and it damaged my health, reading 16 to 18 hours a day. Now, you have a crosscut now. All of you are lucky because in our generations, we never got such facilities. For example, if you want to study something, the complete syllabus is covered in the programs you get in the video. The UGC's countrywide classroom will cover. If you give BA Economics, the UGC countrywide classroom will cover the whole syllabus in around 300 hours. You can listen to the whole program. Brilliant tutorials have covered the entire program. Like that, EMRC Hyderabad, Electronic Media Research Center, such prepared classes you will get. Now, in our time, we used to read the whole book. I wanted to read War and Peace of Leo Tolstoy, 3,300 pages. I took 21 days according to my memory. Whole day I used to read to have the satisfaction of reading War and Peace. Wonderful book. You people need not bother like this because you people have a facility now called the Blinkist, Blinkist. In Blinkist, if you order War and Peace, Leo Tolstoy summary, in 5 pages, learned people in some parts of the world will summarize it and give it to you on your screen. So you can read War and Peace in its summary and understand what is that book about in hardly around 30 minutes time. In our time, we used to go to a library, search for a book, get the book, carry it back home, and a 1.5 kilogram book we used to hold in our hand and read it. And when there is an interruption, we will mark it, and then after interruption, come back and continue reading like that. Now, all of you need not worry about this at all, because if you have a Kindle with you, hardly 5,000 rupees, and you can order for a book, and the book will appear on the screen. You need not travel in a bus, spend money for the bus charges. You need not search in a library. Once you search in the library and get to the book, you will understand that somebody have taken the book. Then you book it and come down. Now, for you, any book in the world, for us, our readings are confined to public library, university library, and the British Council library. We could not go beyond that. Now, even a book not available in India, in any library in India, you can read from the Oxford Reference Library or for American Congress Library. It will just come on the screen and you can read it through. Third one, you need not damage your eyes like my eyes, because you can order for reading the book. There are professionals who read the book for you. Because a history student reading Will Durant, you can order for Will Durant. You go into the YouTube, call for the documentaries, and ask for Will Durant Volume 1, Chapter 1 to be read. There is one man called Rocky C. who have read the whole book. And you can just close your eyes and listen to the whole book. Somebody else is reading it for you. And you can select the sex also. If a white man is reading it, and you want a white woman to read it, you will order that Madama read. So instead of the Saip, Madama will read it for you. You can listen to the book in the reading of your selected sex. Now, 28 crore books are available in the internet. We call it the cloud library. Library is in the clouds. You can read it through. Then, for us, when I did my MPhil and I did my PhD, I traveled to Madurai, I went to Madras, I went to Bangalore, to Calcutta National Library, to Delhi, I traveled to around 7 cities to get all the historical novels written in different this thing, and collected the bibliography of around 2,400 books and put it in my PhD thesis, which is available in the university library. Now, you need not worry about anything like this, because if you open the YouTube and go to the documentaries and type the subject you are going to do research. For example, French Revolution, contribution of Danton. Click, it will come around 10 programs, and you can select one of the programs and listen to it. And in 45 minutes time, you get the whole thing. And a reference. I was once checking the Yokna Patava novels of America, Faulkner's novel. So suddenly I got an interest on the books written on Faulkner and Yokna Patava novels. So I went to the computer. I ordered for the bibliography on Faulkner's novels. Computer said for getting a printout per page you have to pay 5 rupees. And computer asked me, do you want all? I said, I want all. Then I ordered it. Computer started printing it. Then I went with my wife for dinner. And by the time dinner was over, my uncle called me. So I started talking with uncle. I forgot about this order to the computer to print. By the time I came back, 27,000 books, the titles, the authors, everything is printed out by the computer. I lost around 2,000 rupees in the process. Per page of 5 rupees. 400 pages. Then I thought, anyhow, I committed a blunder. So I got all that papers cut and bound into a book and put it in myself. So anything on William Faulkner, I can just look into that book. Complete bibliography. So the researching a bibliography is absolutely not required. And to do a research, in our times we used to search to find out a subject on which nobody else have done a research. Now you can check into the Association of Indian Universities, AIU checklist of bibliography of doctoral dissertations in India. So the list will come out on any subject. Any research done in the 410 universities of India will just appear before you on the screen. So you can select a subject on which nobody else have did a research before. So this is something wonderful. Myself and my generation, or all generations before me, never got anything like what you people students have got now. So use your facilities, save your eyes and save your health, and comprise and get the knowledge in the tablet form very easily, and do wonderful research. Best of luck.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, sir. Anybody else?
Ma'am, I have a question.
Hello.
Yes, Hari Krishna.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening, sir.
Yeah.
Good evening.
Hari Krishnan, and I am doing my master's in public administration from IGNOU. So
Very good.
My question is, regarding certain analytical questions in mains papers. For example, regarding the work of certain governments regarding how COVID was treated. How critical can one person be with respect to the government initiatives? Can we use our logic and be critical about it, or should we be diplomatically standing regarding the answers?
No, treating of cold, it is a medical question, for example. So you can go to history, how the Brazilian cold was controlled by the Brazilian government. And how when Panama Canal was built, controlling the cold was couldn't be done by Ferdinand Lesseps, and 20,000 people died in that process. How the cold was not properly understood, and ultimately became Spanish flu, which killed around 2 crore people all over the world. Now, the way the Chinese people control it, how Indian experiments like the Bangalore experiment, Bengal experiment like that. So this kind of historical things have to be analyzed first. Then you have to go on statistics. For example, COVID. How many COVID deaths happened in one country and how many COVID deaths happened in another. Here you can be very, very diplomatic. You need not be plainly true always, but you can be diplomatic. For example, if you want to compare Kerala's COVID statistics with a country like Taiwan. Kerala failed because Taiwan's number of COVID cases is less. But very simply, you say that Kerala's population is 3.5 crores, which is 10% of America's population. United States of America have around 33 crore people. So Kerala is 10% of America. In America, 5,20,000 people have died. So Kerala's COVID death should be around 50,000. But Kerala's COVID death really is only 4,400. In America, incidence of COVID has covered around 3 crore people. So roughly 10% of that should be 30 lakh people affected by COVID in Kerala. But Kerala's total COVID affected is only 7 lakhs or so. Then what happens? The comparison becomes very obvious. Comparing our statistics with the United States of America, Kerala have done wonderfully well. Kerala government got 15 awards, all world awards. Throughout the world, the best treatment of cold is by Kerala, they say. In spite of around 7.5 people coming from other states and around 4.5 lakh people coming from foreign countries, many of them were red-colored countries. Kerala's success rate is very high. So when you write the examination, you have to take a comparison and make the answer realistic. So that a person like me, I frequently value civil service examination papers. So when a person like me read through, we immediately understand how the candidate played, but we really get really interested in the answer because the way the comparison was taken, it has to be intelligent. But you have to always be impartial in your answer sheet. Never take sides. Never take sides, because suppose you support the Hindu nationalism, your paper may be valued by a Muslim fanatic sometimes. He will give you very less marks. Of course, when number one answer valuer and number two valuer give a 10% different valuation, then a third person is asked to value it. And whoever marks is sided closed by the third person, then average between the second and third person will be taken. That is how the mark is ultimately calculated. Anyhow, there is a chance of a person holding opposite view valuing your paper. But if you are impartial, then none of the three examiners will have an anti-opinion against you. Because first your answer sheet will go to the north, then it will go to the east, then it will go to the south. Then average is taken. If any one man is going very high or very low from the average marks, then only another examiner is brought, a fourth examiner is brought in. So always be impartial. Don't get the anger of the examiner against you. Because ultimately, any marks lost is a loss for you. Then never take hard ground. Hard ground is a blunder of the highest degree. I went to the third Ias interview board. I already got into IPS. I was under training in Hyderabad Police Academy. Then I again went for the Ias interview in the next attempt. My return marks was more than the previous years. But in the interview, they asked me a question whether horse riding will improve your management capacity. Because theory is that when you control a horse and wild animal, you get capacity to control a department as wild as a horse. It's a theory. That's why IAS officer are made to do horse horse training in Mussoorie Academy, and the IPS officer asked to do it in the police academy. But I took a different way. I said, no, by controlling a horse, you don't get the management capacity to control a department. Well, that was my personal conviction. This horse riding is a foolishness. That's what I thought. Not because the horse kicked me down. I had anger against it. They took around 15 minutes driving me. I held my ground. Net result was, in the interview, they cut 50 marks down. So I got 500 ranks below, because every mark 10 people are holding. But for that fight, I would have got into the IFS or in the high first 15 positions in the IAS in the third examination. So this kind of foolishness you should not do. You should balance. You should act like impartial. So you select a comparative yardstick in the area in which you favor and then give a comparison, because that comparison they cannot deny. But as far as possible, you have to be impartial. So this is a technique you have to use in the civil service examination. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Any quick questions? Shamla?
Yes, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So this is the last
Good
question.
evening, sir. Very happy to hear you. Okay, okay. Sir, I want to ask the essay writing perspective, sir, because from 1 to 3 places I have heard like we have to start with a summary, a brief of what we are going to write in the whole entire essay, then start with the essay. But another opinion I heard is if you write like that, the examiner won't go through your essay, and if he is disagreeing with any point, your essay marks will be cut down. So, and another point I heard is like we have to start with a story, an incident or something, a real one, it would be better, then enter into the essay topic. So, may I know what perspective of essay writing do you suggest, sir, where we can score good marks in those 1.5 hours, sir?
Now, Cambridge University have published a book called The Essay. That was a text for the BA literature papers earlier in the Kerala University, but later this I have not seen it there. Now, this The Essay, the book published by Cambridge University, gives all the techniques you can use in writing an essay. Now, there are 8 different techniques which you can use for writing an essay. One is what you mentioned first, that is analytical synopsis method. In the first page itself, you give an analytical synopsis, point 1, point 2, in the point 2, subpoint 1, subpoint 2, subpoint 3. Like that, you give an analytical synopsis, and then explain that thing in your essay. Now, the first examiner looks into the analytical synopsis, and the fellow is impressed that you have a complete coverage of the subject. I used this technique in my general essay paper when I wrote the civil service examination 2 times. Now, this may not be possible for everyone, because if you have arranged your points in your brain correctly, then only you can use this analytical synopsis method. Because I have written a book, DC books have published that, Marakkadirikkan Buddhiyullaragan, in which I have given the techniques for how to increase your memory 5 times and how to apply it in your answer sheets. So this kind of technique knowing person can utilize this. But if you don't know the technique and if you attempt that technique, you will fail miserably. So if you know the technique, utilize it, or else you don't. The second thing is, an essay should have a minimum of 5 paragraphs. If there is no 5 paragraphs, it is not an essay. First paragraph is introduction, second paragraph is exposition, third paragraph is expansion, fourth paragraph is winding up, and the fifth paragraph is conclusion. Now, even if your essay is 100 paragraphs, the first 2 paragraphs and the last 2 paragraphs do not change. Only thing happening is that the expansion paragraph will have 96 paragraphs expanding the idea. If you don't have a structure like this, then you lose marks in an essay paper. The third one is the anecdotal method. This anecdotal method is that you quote an anecdote. When Gandhiji went to London, the king commented on the dress of Mahatma Gandhiji, and Mahatma Ji said, "Your Excellency, you have enough clothes for both of us." Both of them laughed. Then you start writing. Suppose the question is on cottage industries or khadi and village industries. Now, how we objected to the European dress coming to India, and how khadi was developed, and how Gandhiji clad himself in the dress of an ordinary Indian, and all those things is coming up. So to start that, you just put this anecdote which happened in the Buckingham Palace when Gandhiji went for the round table conference and met the king. Now the examiner is immediately coming to the subject, because the candidate have studied this subject very well, and even little humoristically the examiner understands, and that gives you well scored. The fourth method is called quotation method. You just start with the quotation. Abraham Lincoln said in Gettysburg Address, and then start. Because question may be on Indian democracy or the challenges faced by the Indian democracy. So you start saying Abraham Lincoln defined democracy in Gettysburg Address of the people, by the people, and for the people, and then you start. Then it's a correct quotation of bringing democracy to focus. What is democracy? And then slowly say where is the challenge and how it can be overcome. So that is called the quotation method. So this kind of methods are there. 8 methods are there to how to write an essay. Each of the method is good if you correctly use it. But don't mix one method with the other method. Then it is a that will end up in failure. So you take all the methods and then slowly study which method is suitable for you and utilize that method in your answer sheet. But analytical synopsis method, giving a structure of your essay on the first page, have given me very high scores in all the examinations I wrote, from degree or post-graduation or right up to the highest methods. And in many of the MA examination writing, I have frequently used this analytical synopsis, which have fetched me very high marks. So this kind of one of the methods have to be stuck to. But nothing substitutes real knowledge on the matter. Now, when you write an essay, the amount of knowledge you show in that essay really counts. Techniques are only have only side effects. The main thing is ultimately when you end the essay, the examiner thinks over the matter and finds out this candidate has completely covered the whole thing. Now, I have given one chapter in that book, Marakadrikan Buthularagan. Myself and my daughter Ammu, who is a first rank holder in the University for Psychology, we together wrote that book, in which there is one chapter on exam techniques. When you write the examination, what are the techniques you have to use? The 10 techniques I have written there. So if you can master those techniques when you write your essay, the reward will be very high in the essay writing. So that question cannot be answered in such a short time. Yeah, I require 3 hours to answer your question, how to write an essay. Anyhow, these short techniques may be used. Thank you.
Okay, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.